Hey guys, I'm Kyle Dewey, host of Dewey's Movie Reviews. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to review number 1.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
First rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club.
I am Iron Man.
Why so serious?
Godzilla vs. Kong, a 2021 film released from Warner Brothers Pictures and also Legendary Pictures as well. Now, generally when I watch films and you see the logo of Legendary Pictures come up, this one here, you generally know that you're in for a good time visually anyway. Does it stack up in terms of it's going to be a good movie or not? Well, remains to be seen. I have to admit, when I did see this trailer, I was amped to go and see it in the movies, and I was lucky enough to do so with a large tub of popcorn. And I can tell you right now, the movie doesn't disappoint at all.
It's Godzilla.
My love of this genre of movie started way back when, in 1994, when I was lucky enough and old enough to see Jurassic Park with my dad in the cinema in the summer holidays. And I can still remember to this day the effect that movie had on my life. Sitting there in the darkened cinema, watching these massive dinosaurs that had never been seen before on the silver screen come to life and of course break out during a test run of the park. Now, watching this new movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, I did have some thoughts around it. I had that same feeling when I was 8 years old watching this movie, and that was pretty special to have that feeling again. Not the same effect fully, but still, it did feel reminiscent of that time. Fast forward to 1997, we've got the second release or the follow-up film to Jurassic Park, The Lost World, also directed by Steven Spielberg. Now, I was lucky enough to see that in the movie cinemas as well, and looking back, it was a fantastic experience. Wasn't as impactful as the first installment. Obviously, that film changed the game in terms of that genre and for movies in general, but it was still a very enjoyable follow-up. My first interaction with Godzilla was in 1998, a year later, starring Matthew Broderick. Now, if I look back as a kid, they did a very good job of advertising blockbuster movies back in the 90s. We have a look back at films like Men in Black and, of course, Independence Day as well. I remember walking to the main hall of the cinema as a kid, going to see other movies and seeing these massive billboards and these huge posters, and your jaw just hit the floor as a kid. Looking back, sitting in the film Godzilla back then, it was pretty good in terms of what I thought a good film was in terms of a blockbuster movie. I did actually watch the film again the other day, and looking back, it's not the best. The acting is pretty cheesy, and the CGI in it is terrible for most of it, especially towards the end with the baby Godzillas in Madison Square Garden. It's really quite average. Despite there being hints of a sequel, the Godzilla franchise remained dormant thereafter for another 16 years. Fast forward to 2013, a little movie hit the silver screen called Pacific Rim. Now, I'm not sure if you caught it. I didn't watch it at the movies, but I did see the trailer for it, and when it was available on Blu-ray, I thought I had to go out and buy a copy, and I can say It is visually spectacular, amazing movie. It's basically like an adult version of Power Rangers on steroids. So if you haven't caught it, I'd highly recommend that. It's basically massive man-made robots controlled by humans fighting these huge kaiju or monsters that rise up for the deep and basically try to take over the earth. It is a spectacular movie and I highly recommend it.
At the edge of our hope. The end of our time. We've chosen to believe in each other. The day we face the monsters that are at our door. Today we are canceling the apocalypse.
Off the back of Pacific Rim a year later, the Godzilla franchise is reignited with the hit movie Godzilla. Now, I did catch it in the cinema and I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed it, especially after the 1998 version as well. And Pacific Rim, I think, really did help this franchise or this genre of movies really ramp back up again. There is a scene in Godzilla that I particularly like, which is the halo jump, where you see the soldiers jumping out of the plane through a storm into a city that's basically on fire with two massive kaiju or dinosaurs or monsters, whatever you want to call them. After the success of Godzilla in 2019, the sequel is released called Godzilla King of the Monsters. Now, I didn't catch this at the movies, I did see it on a streaming service or I rented it if memory serves, and this movie does suffer from what is known as sequel-itis, where they thought that more is going to be better when in fact it wasn't. This movie did feel very bloated. You have an enormous amount of kaiju or dinosaurs or monsters, whatever you want to call it, and also the human element and character development in this movie is most of the time people standing around a boardroom or some type of army base explaining their way through the movie, and somebody's got different opinions and stories about what is doing this and why that is doing that, and it just felt very bloated, and you could tell this movie didn't feel like a sequel. This movie felt like a trilogy at the end, where most trilogies, they don't really know how to put this all together and they mash it all up and then it's just this big kind of mess.
Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah.
Oh my. They're moving like a pack. They're hunting. They all respond directly to an alpha. We stop this Ghidorah, we stop them all.
Is there another creature that might stand a chance against him?
Don't get me wrong, there are some very good action scenes and fights in that movie. However, I am glad that I won't have to witness this line again.
My God, Zilla.
So now the stage is set between Godzilla and Kong for the almighty showdown. Without getting into too many spoilers, the plot line is pretty simple. Godzilla is basically putting human lives at risk. Somebody or something is antagonizing him, and it's up to the human cast to find out what that is. So they have to bring in old mate Kong to sort out the situation. The way they actually get Kong at the start of the movie, I'm not gonna again spoil it, I thought was a brilliant idea, very fun idea. The movie itself looks immaculate. All the blues, the greens, the reds and the pinks reminded me very much of Avatar back in 2009 when I saw it on the big screen. So they've done away with all the unnecessary dialogue of the previous film with the human cast. Millie Bobby Brown is back along with Kyle Chandler as well, just to name a few of them. But the main characters in this movie are Godzilla and Kong. So it's up to you to find out whose side you're going to be on. So the runtime of this movie is very fair, not over, not under. All in all, the movie I thought was brilliant, and my verdict is basically, if you do get a chance to see it on the big screen, which I did, it is definitely worth going and seeing. Or if you don't, it is definitely worth buying on Blu-ray or 4K. I actually bought it on 4K and played it on the PS5, and it looks incredible. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you for joining me on my first review. Hope to see you again on the next one. Comment below, let me know what you think, and stay tuned.
There was a war.
Come on!
last one standing.
I keep reaching for greatness because I'm built from it.
Who bows to who?
Nobody gon' stop for me. Here we go.
Kong bows to no one.
Here we go.